and he said, you got to interview Sherry. I said, okay. And again, I fell off. I got 4 kids and they're all staying at school from home now. And it's just nuts. The whole thing is nuts, Sherry.
Crazy.
All right. So let's see here. We are going to bring, hold on just a second. I'm going to get that. Okay, cool.
Are we live yet?
We are live. Yes, ma'am.
All right.
We don't have, let's see. I just want to see if we got anyone on board yet. And then what happens too, if, when this is done, you will just automatically go to the channel by itself. So yeah, okay, good. We are live. If folks, if y'all can hear me, give me a thumbs up or say hey if you would. It's exciting to introduce Sherry Peel Jackson from the Atlanta area, right, Sherry?
Yes.
Yeah, and my man Starling from Hawaii had said, hey Josh, you should get Sherry on your YouTube channel, and I've watched her videos, and there's stuff that she has, I say 8 months or 9 months ago or something like that. And then after the whole COVID thing and everything, I forgot to talk to her, and I saw she did an interview with a lady not too long ago, and it just clicked in my head to get her back on. Sherry used to work for the IRS, an IRS agent, a retired CPA. Hey Rick, right on. Audio is good. Okay, good. And I thought we'd just chat on like tax stuff, financial preparedness, things of that nature, how to get your house in order financially, so that way you can get out of, Sherry, I call it your crappy old job. You know what I'm saying? And that way you can go on to do what God put you on this world to do, which is not sit there and struggle and be a victim essentially. So Sherry, if you don't mind introducing yourself, and it looks like everybody's they can hear us. So tell us who you are and your background, the whole thing. Take your time.
Right. So my professors at school called me a tax heretic, but I actually, I'm a retired CPA. I was a CPA for several years, and then a former IRS agent. I was an IRS agent for 7.5 years. Okay. And while there, I did various types of audits, including ministerial audits. They had something that's loosely called the Preacher Project. So that's a whole nother story about auditing ministers.
Auditing ministers. Woo, that's...
So it takes just about an act of Congress to audit a church, but they go in the back door and audit the minister. So if there's egregious stuff going on in fraud, then they write up the chain so that they can audit a church, and then, get a lot of notoriety, and the agents get promoted and all that. So it's a big deal. And the number one way that a minister gets audited is because people rat on them. Disgruntled congregant or a disgruntled employee will write the IRS or call into the IRS hotline and tell on the pastor. So anybody's angry with the pastor, they call in on the pastor. So, but that's another area. So I really believe in kingdom advancement. So I help with churches, help them get themselves in order so that won't happen. But I was at the IRS from 1988 to 1995. And then I came out and started my own CPA firm. And of course, found out in late 1999, early 2000 about the discrepancy about the income tax being misrepresented and misapplied. So I started researching, and I'm just one that has been taught to seek the truth, and it's the truth that we are slaves to this system. Yeah. So as I started speaking out, I began being hated by the IRS, and they eventually got so angry with me speaking out and doing meetings that they put in an information. There's a difference between an information and an indictment. An indictment is when someone brings a felony against you. Mm-hmm. They couldn't find a felony. So they raided my house in July of 2004, and they were there from like 7:45 to 5 o'clock, and it took about 32 boxes of stuff. And that was 2004. 2007, they still hadn't found a felony. So they brought me up on misdemeanor charges of willful failure to file, because everybody knew I wasn't filing, and I wasn't filing because I didn't find the law that required me to file. So they brought me up on the misdemeanor charges, and then got a jury in there, wouldn't let me present my case. The next thing you know, I'm being convicted of willful failure to file, which is a misdemeanor, but they gave me a 4-year sentence on a misdemeanor. So you got rapists out there, you got people that, talk about killing cops and all this other stuff. And
they gave you a 4-year sentence?
Yes. Yes, they gave me a 4-year sentence on the misdemeanor called willful failure to file, because a lot of people were angry with me speaking the truth. You can do all that.
They wanted to make an example out of you. They wanted
to make an example out of me. So I actually spent 3 of those years in a federal prison camp. The reason why, and I actually got out 3 years to the day, because they couldn't keep me for 4 years because I was the model prisoner. So I got 6 months good time and 6 months halfway house. So they had to let me out in 3 years. And that was a whole nother story. I learned about the prison industrial complex, which is a whole nother animal for another day. So when I got out,
you were in prison for 3.5 years, Sherry.
For 3 years.
3 years because of failure to file.
Right. It wasn't about
you
that.
had inside knowledge on how they operate because you worked there at 7.5. And they said, man, we've got.
Right. It wasn't about me not filing. It wasn't about me keeping my own money, because when she sentenced me, the judge said, I know you homeschool your children, Ms. Jackson, and I know you have a lot of family support, but you can't run around the country telling people not to file income tax returns. And I looked her dead in the eye and I said, I've never done that, which I'd never done. Right. When I was meeting and having conferences about it, I would just tell them what I learned. And I wasn't the only one. There's Joe Bannister out of California, was a former criminal investigation division agent. There was John Turner, which was a former collection agent. And there were some former IRS attorneys. And I don't know if you're familiar with the movie called America, Freedom to Fascism, but it's out there on YouTube, America, Freedom to Fascism. Aaron Russo, which was a Hollywood director, he made Trading Places with Eddie Murphy and The Road to Bette Midler. He made a documentary called America, Freedom to Fascism. And we were all in this documentary saying that we couldn't find a law that required anybody to file income tax returns. And then they started going after us and prosecuting us. And some of us, had a good outcome because we had thinking jury, but I was not one of those. So they got me and they got some others and tried to make an example of, but you know what it did? It actually brought people to the conclusion that there must be something to this, because this little 5'1" lady that homeschools her children, they put her in prison. There must be something to what she was saying. So I've got a lot of support. When I was there, I had a lot of support, and I still have a lot of support because people know something's wrong with the system.
That's boggles. Actually, it should not boggle my mind. There's a guy, a law professor, says 3 felonies a day. Like literally, he has a book called 3 Felonies a Day, and I forgot who, maybe Dershowitz or something. But anyway, the issue is you can't do anything in America without committing a felony. Literally, they can get you for anything. Yeah. It's interesting you said the prison industrial complex, because I've always like, why do we have so many people incarcerated? It's insane to me. And who's the one who gets chosen? It's all based on, a lot of it's based on politics for sure. While they're letting people out because of COVID, they're putting. I'm just curious, when you were in there, you're a mom, you're just, you're a regular white collar person, you know what I'm saying? Now you're in a federal pen. I mean, was it scary?
No, I actually was in a prison camp, which wasn't like they didn't put the hardcore killer women in there. Right, plus I grew up in Detroit, so that's a whole nother animal. But it was, when you didn't do anything wrong and you're locked away from your family, it's really hard. The girls that were in there that knew that they committed a crime, they were okay because they knew that they had done it. But those of us, there were several women in there that hadn't done anything, because they need to keep people in the prisons to keep them up. I was at one point in a private prison, the same one that with the GEO group, and that's the one that runs Guantanamo Bay. And I was shipped around a lot, and so it's all about money. The prison industrial complex is up there as far as income, up there with pornography, is one of the top 5 industries in the United States. So it's about making money for those shareholders that are in these private prisons and the contracts that they give out and all that. It's crazy, but we have got to do something about this system.
Do you have any hope that, I mean, it seems like they went after these people in St. Louis, McCloskeys, for just, showing a firearm, and they're getting it. It's just like, once they pick you, you're over. You know what I'm saying? And we got Kamala Harris, who's done nothing but prosecute, essentially schlubs, who just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. She's probably going to be, she could be president because Biden's not going to last. And, we got all these people who are part of that. And yet it's nuts. It seems like when they want you, they get you, and you doggone better kneel to the authorities. It's crazy.
Right. And if you want to fight it, then you have some consequences maybe. Yeah. And so I'm not one of those. I've always been a fighter. I've always wanted justice. And I've always been a big mouth when it comes down to injustice. So I had to pay the price for that. But again, I came out and I wrote a book called How to Stick It to the IRS. And my mentor said, "What are you doing? You have the balls to write a book called Stick It to the IRS." And I said, they stuck it to me, so I'm sticking it to them. So,
and that's on your website, SherryPeelJackson.com, right? We'll put links in the show notes.
It's wakethepeople.com.
Say it again.
wakethepeople.com.
Wakethepeople.com. That's your website where you can find your books and stuff and all
Right.
that.
So
Okay.
the deal with that is, now I know that 99% of the people are not going to take the stand that I took. They're, fearful of the government, but there are ways to starve the beast. Instead of trying to cut the beast's head off like I did, then you starve the beast by making sure that you take all the deductions that you can. Like when Hillary Clinton and President Trump, well, before he was president, were debating, and Hillary Clinton said, Donald Trump didn't pay his taxes. And everybody said, sucked all of the wind out of the room. And they're running to me saying, he didn't pay his taxes. He said he was a smart man. And I knew exactly what he was talking about, because you can write off everything but the kitchen sink through the tax code. The tax code is written for businesses, and he has smart people around him to know how to reduce that. I've seen tax returns of famous people that got their income down to the point where they got the earned income credit. So, it's all a manipulation, and this is made for the wealthy. And actually, those of us that are smart enough, we can ride that wave also, and make sure that we don't have to pay all that money to them, and not have to risk jail. Just structure your financial affairs so that you won't have to pay a lot of taxes. You can reduce.
So you can, and if you do get it, you can prove, hey, this is a legitimate thing. You're not. That's the thing. They're all mad at Trump, but like, he's using the tax law. I mean, my goodness, it's not wrong. It's not lying or thieving. It's like literally using it. Why would you not do that?
Right. So stop hating on him and follow and see what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. It's nuts to me. But hey, so Sherry, all right. So what's before you got into tax? I mean, where are you from originally? Like, how did you get? I mean, what prompted your interest in? Yeah, right here. Roy says you got locked up, but billionaires and corporations walk around untouched. The system is completely corrupt. But how did you, like Sherry Jackson, growing up? You're saying, I want to be a tax person. It's just, not too many people say that, right?
No, I mean, we moved here. We moved from Detroit to Atlanta. I was going into I think, 4th grade, and just a typical kid, and did not really think about the future. And then at some point, my dad, I think maybe I was 15, he said, when you're 18, you're getting out. So that put the fear of God in me. It's like, when I'm 18, that's just 3 years, I'm getting out. He said, and one day he brought a magazine that had the top professions for African Americans in it. He said, you need to look in here and find something, because you like nice things. So I started flipping through this magazine, and I said, I don't want to be a doctor, because I don't want to see all that blood. I don't want to be an engineer. I have an uncle that's just 3 years older than me, and he was he was going to school for engineering. And I was flipping through his books, and I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. Then I saw accounting. I said, okay, I'm pretty good in adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. Let's do that. So basically, from the time I was about 15 or 16, I figured out that I was going to be an accountant. And then, went to school for that. I graduated from the University of Georgia with a bachelor's in business administration with a concentration in accounting. Then, went on the track to get my CPA. So it was just something that people do. These days, I don't recommend college for anybody that's not going after a license. It's just a waste of time. The millionaires that I know, 9 out of 10 of them didn't go to college. They didn't, because it's just a waste of time. You're sitting in a room with someone that has book knowledge that does not have the real knowledge. The good thing to do is get a mentor, somebody that knows what they're doing, and you'll go much further. But anyway, that's what happened. So I graduated from college, got the CPA firm job, got the CPA, and
right here. Well, I mean, you went to UGA and then you stayed in the Atlanta area. Okay, got it.
Right, I did. And no, I actually didn't. My first job was in Roanoke, Virginia. That was very interesting. That's when I found out that I'm a big city girl. Like, there's no way I can stay here. So
to you, Roanoke was a small town.
Oh, yes.
That is funny, because we lived in Harrisonburg, Virginia, and Roanoke is like the big city on 81. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And so, my dad taught me that, that he wouldn't let us complain in the house. If you don't like where you are at point A, go to point B. So once I realized that I'm a big city girl, then I came back to Atlanta and worked for a CPA firm, but it got to be very, very tedious because I was doing a whole lot of work. And I then went to corporate America. I'll stay there maybe 8 months because corporate America is so political. Yeah. It's not what you know, it's who you know and what you do with who you know. Yeah. And I wasn't about that life. So I, looked in the paper, and one day I saw a job description for an IRS agent. And so I said, well, again, I do adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, and went in and interviewed and got the job on the spot. So that's how I ended up at the insidious representatives of Satan place called the IRS. Mm. Yes, they are the insidious representatives of Satan because they
When
take
you
money away from you to do things with you don't want done with your money.
well, so you've always had an independent streak. Obviously, did you get that from your folks? I mean, you like, was your dad military, or something like? How did you get like an independent streak where you're not relying on others so much? You say, no, I see, like you're seeing, like we're just everyone's propagandists. Everyone just falls. You got to fall. You got to fall. We're like sheep. And here's Sherry. She goes, I'm not doing that. I'm going to do my own thing. Like, where did that independent and request for knowledge come from?
My parents, but both of them are entrepreneurs. My father has had a business since 1977, and he basically
what kind of business was it?
An industrial machine shop. We're out of Detroit, so he started out there, and then he started his own industrial machine shop when we came to Atlanta. He worked at Georgia Tech for a while, taught there for a minute, but then he got his own thing. And so I grew up around shredded steel, and my mother also, she does various things as an entrepreneur. So I just did not want to be tied down. This is what he told me, Josh. He said, as long as you have a job, your boss is going to determine what kind of car you drive, what neighborhood you live in, and where you go for vacation. And I was young when he said that, and I said, that doesn't make any sense. And then he said it again. He said, as long as you have a job, your boss is going to determine what kind of car you drive, where you live, and where you go for vacation. And then it clicked later on, because he's going to determine whether I drive a Volkswagen or Mercedes-Benz, whether I live in an apartment or $750,000 subdivision, or whether I go to Florida or whether I go to Europe. So that kind of struck me. It's like, I need to be in charge of that. So yeah, I stayed with the CPA firms as long as it took to get the CPA, and then stayed with the IRS long enough to get that experience. And 95, I was on my own.
Sherry, it kills me. This country was not good to Black people, but Black people are so entrepreneurial going back to the beginning. And I just sit there and I say, is that gone? I just wish that Black people would get, and maybe they are, I don't know, but this reliance on like Black Lives Matter, the big government, the Joe Bidens of the world to take. I'm sitting there thinking, of all that Blacks in America have gone through, you should be the furthest removed from trusting the government. You are the entrepreneurs. I'm listening to your dad. I'm like, here's a guy, I guarantee he went through a bunch of crap. And I'm just sitting there thinking, but here he is. It just infuriates me because I don't understand. I do think it's the devil's work. I truly believe that the devil is sitting there trying to divide us on race, but also divide the family, make sure there's no men around. And and hearing your story, hearing your dad's story, your mom's story, we can replicate that a million times a Sunday in America. And yet it kills me. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I'm saying it. It's just a frustrating.
No. Daniel Patrick Moynihan back in the 60s when the welfare system came said that this was going to be the death of the Black family. You're going to give the woman money, but you're not going to allow the man in the house. And that was put together to destroy the Black family. And it has, but there's a lot more to that. But the issue is there's no excuse now. You can get the equivalent of a doctorate degree on YouTube.
Yeah.
There's no excuse. You can pull yourself up by you might. I grew up partially in Detroit, and we weren't rich by any stretch of the imagination. But all it takes is get out of the victim mentality and get victorious. Now, the schools aren't good in that area a lot of times, and we have YouTube for that. People can, and if there are ways to do it, there are people that can't do it because of maybe they have some mental issues or whatever. But for the most part, and it's good to be able to reach back and help people. So I have college students that I mentor so that when they graduate from college, they'll have more on their resume than working at McDonald's for 2 years like I did. That didn't help me one bit when I graduated because the other kids, their parents had the wherewithal to get them jobs during the summer at their friend's CPA firm or their uncle's CPA firm. And all I had on my resume was McDonald's. So it takes those of us that have the insight to make a change also.
Well, I find it's not even just really black and white anymore. It's the haves and the haves. It's becoming this stretch now, and there's white people too. Like you have this victim mentality that says I can't do it, I can't. I'm just sitting there and I'm thinking this isn't good. And so we're having this people who are grasping the bull by the horns and saying, I'm going to create something and I might not fail. I might fail, but man, I'm going to create something. And others say, no, I can't. And then, it's interesting going back to college, what you said too. I talked to a lady up in North Carolina and she's in West, like rural, way out there in Western North Carolina. And she does a YouTube channel. I've drawn her blank on her name, but she's great. Jessica something. But anyway, and I asked her, I said, she had a degree in marketing at college, like Western Carolina University or something like that. And I said, do they teach you Facebook ads? And there's my man Starling. I said, do they teach you Facebook ads, SEO, search engine optimization? And she goes, no. I said, this is crazy. So colleges and advertising and marketing aren't even teaching you the stuff that is changing the world right now. And yet you're spending $45,000 a year on what is crazy.
Right. And having a huge student loan when you graduate, enough, it's a house note. My children never graced the halls of a government school. And my son's first public school was when he got his master's degree at Georgia State. And my daughter's first public school was when she went to Georgia State to get her bachelor's. So he has a student loan from a private institution that's astronomical, and he's not using that degree. So a lot of them, and especially now with what's going on with the pandemic, the people that have a degree are working as tellers at the bank next to somebody with a high school diploma. So it's really bad. And we need to get out there and learn how to make money on our own online. This is the easiest way to make $1 million. Get out there and create something online.
What's your thinking in terms of, are you optimistic? Forget the election, all that, but just generally speaking about the country as we stand, because there's a lot against us. The world, we know the whole world is looking for America to fail, and somehow we're allowing that to happen. But you've got to be an optimistic person, Sherry, but are you optimistic that we're going to, create more and that we're going to go ahead? Or are you kind of nervous and say, man, I don't know if we can pull out from this. We have a fascistic state that's coming. And what do you think?
Well, I think that everybody needs to have a plan B.
Yes. Oh, man.
Because we are the people with the money are the ones that are trying to bring our country down and create what they always talk about, the one world government situation. We are having a brain drain. We're having over 300,000 people expatriate from the United States every year. These aren't the poor people. Yeah. These are the people with the money. They're going to get citizenship and in other countries. So everybody needs to have a plan B, and their plan B needs to start with starting something on their own and not depending on the corporations, the government, or the banksters. So they need to find a business on their own. I actually have property in Costa Rica, and I have a corporation over there. And so, I have my plan B ready. We're building a subdivision over there.
Wait. You have contractors, everything down there, building a subdivision?
We will be. In other words, I haven't been able to go. I was supposed to go in April. Because of COVID, it's on hold. But we do have the land, and when I was there for 2 weeks last September, we were getting the permits.
I saw some videos you did, I think, down there. That's right. I remember I said, oh, okay, gotcha. Right on. Okay. And so you were down there like scoping out to buy some land where you can do a subdivision down there?
Well, I got the property back in 2018. So we're at the point where we're trying to figure out what we need to build on there. There are permits to make sure there's enough water for the subdivision, make sure that the soil is tested, those kinds of things. So we knocked off with that, and hopefully I can get down there, at least at the beginning of next year so we can continue. But the thing about Costa Rica for me is, number one, we won't starve to death because there's food falling on the ground off the trees. We're like maybe 10 minutes away from water where we can get fish, and we won't freeze to death.
Man, I love it. So, all right, so you know you have a pretty good gauge. So if I'm sitting there in a crappy old job and I hate my boss because my boss is, I don't know, sexual harassing me, or he's telling me I'm an idiot, and he's got to make me go listen to some Robert DiAngelo and all this stuff. I'm like, I just can't take it. But I don't know what I need to do. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sitting there, I'm saying, Sherry, what's a piece of guidance you have for folks that are out there saying, I love it. I love the idea of having a plan B. I got to get out of corporate America, but I don't know the next step. I mean, thoughts?
Yeah. Okay. So the first step for most people is going to be to turn off the electronic income reducer called the television. Okay, that's the electronic income reducer and the electronic intellect reducer. When you come home from work, that crappy old job,
right.
Take some time to decompress, play with your kids, do some family stuff, but then start your home-based business.
Yes.
Build your home-based business up to the point where it's making the same amount or more than your crappy old job.
Yeah. Hey.
Keep the crappy old job so that you'll have your benefits, your health benefits and all that. But then use your time in the evenings, on weekends, and on vacations to build that business. So, you got those people that watch the soap operas, and then you got the people that watch the night soap operas and then the football and all that. Yeah. And I always say, until Tom Brady starts stroking me a check, my team is the Jackson team. I really don't have time to watch somebody else build an empire. I need to be building my own empire. And that's what I'm doing.
That is, man, that is so good advice. You got men, and I don't know about women, but men, myself, I used to, you'd watch football from Saturday to Sunday, let's see, 3 hours games. You watch the college football from 12 to basically, literally 8 hours a day, Sherry. And we're yelling at kids for being on electronics. Like, look at you, man. You're watching football all day long. What are you doing? You see what I'm saying? And I don't watch anymore. I got so fed up with the politics. I actually, frankly, it did not make me feel good when my team lost. That's how bad. It was weird. But I said, I just got to stop. And next thing you know, I have all kinds of time on my hands. It's crazy.
Yes.
I like how you said, Tom Brady isn't stroking me a check. So why am I watching him to watch him and Giselle fly all over the world and live like kings while I'm sitting there slaving away at my crappy old job? Right. Oh, man.
Right.
So how would you suggest, someone said, okay, that's great, Sherry, a home-based business, but I don't even know what I want to do. Like, I talked to a guy yesterday. I said, how do you get, I have always liked finances. I've always liked numbers. And obviously you too. But someone says, I just don't know. Any thoughts? And I know we're both of Christ. So for me, I'd say get on your knees and God will lead you somehow. I don't know how he does it when, but any thoughts in that regard, not specific to Jesus or anything, but any thoughts in just terms of how to find your passion, if that makes sense.
Right. So I put together what's called the KPG system. Keep what you earn, protect what you earn, and grow what you earn.
Okay.
And all this needs to be going on at the same time. So people spend too much money on conspicuous consumption. We shouldn't be buying $100 tennis shoes and Gucci purchase with no money to put in them and all that stuff like that. So cutting your expenses is one thing. Seriously reducing the expenses. Like if you're running around with a Mercedes-Benz with a $500 note or lease payment, go get rid of it and get a Buick, so that money can be used to start a business and to get you out of debt. So that's the keeping what you earn is getting out of debt and reducing expenses. And then you think of, I had to go through this. When I got out of prison, I had the minimum wage job because, they make you go to the halfway house and all that stuff. But using what you have, I had certain knowledge. Some people don't have a financial background, but they have some kind of background.
Yes,
I have clients that do hair. They make, $800 a day doing hair, like my hair. This is my real hair, but somebody has to do this. So she makes a lot of money doing my hair. Right. And, there are different things that I ask people, what was it that you were doing in your early 20s, if you're not there now, that gave you joy? I have people that actually are coaching in the health department. I have one woman that was 408 pounds and now she's down to maybe 100 and something pounds. So she's coaching other people as to what she did to lose the weight. So there are a myriad of things that I go through when someone hires me as a consultant. We actually come up with a business for them that's a viable business. So if someone says, oh, I love quilting, I say, that's nice, baby, but that's not going to be a business because Walmart and Target have quilts. Yep. That's not going to be it. So we come up with a business for them and we, set it up, whether it's going to be a sole proprietorship, partnership, or whatever it's going to be. And then they start growing the business, get a federal ID number and get a bank account and start working on it. Most of the businesses that are making a lot of money right now are where people are doing things online. Yeah. So I got a mentor back in 2005 because I got out of prison in 2011. I got off the rolls of the prison in 2012. And 2012, 13, 14, I was just trying to do things and trying to make it happen with a crappy old job and everything. But then the mentor came and showed me some things. He showed me, how I could make $1 million a year. And I'm going to share that with everybody because it sounds simple, but if you work it, eventually it's going to work for you. Create something with a profit margin of $20 and sell 50,000 of them, or create something with a profit margin of $200 and sell 5,000 of them, or create something with a profit margin of $2,000 and sell 100 of them. So I started writing books because I was already in the process of creating a course online. I said, I'm going to make this out of a book. Right. So right now I have 8 books out there. And they bring money every day. I mean, all hours of the day, people are buying my books from Amazon.
Oh, you have 8 books? I saw the 2. What other books do you have? I mean, are they all on Amazon, Sherry?
They're all on Amazon. So 3 of the books, one of them's not on Amazon. It's just so small.
Okay.
3 of the books are just on Kindle, and those are about the prison experience. The other books.
Okay, good. So you have some biography stuff on that.
Right.
Okay, cool.
Right.
Sure,
one of the books is out of print because I actually made it into How to Stick It to the IRS.
Okay, gotcha.
How to escape the rat race. I just split it up because it was too much. So How to Stick It to the IRS, How to Escape the Rat Race. And my latest book that came out in 2019 is Church Wealth Ministry Health, 5 Pillars of Ministry Growth and Financial Wellness. And that's all about helping the church stay out of trouble with lawsuits with the IRS, helping them grow, making sure that their finances are in order, making sure that their administrative offices are in order.
That's interesting. I wondered, because I know churches have a hard time asking for money. And I also know, and I know that they don't want to ask. And I know a lot of people say, you're just giving money to the pastors getting rich. And I know a lot of pastors who are doing it for labor, literally for, they're serving Jesus and they're not making bank. But I also, but they're not good at actually that finance. They're just not, you know what I'm saying? And that book sounds like it could be helpful for these, not just the pastors, but even the ladies in the back, not the ladies, but generally the women in the back office who are, the accounts receivable people and the, I don't even have the AR people, you know what I'm saying? The processing and the donations and all that sounds like it'd be a book real good for them. Do you have a class on that by chance? That sounds like you could go to churches and help these guys.
I actually do go to churches and do it. It's not something that I do generally because every church is different. They're larger ones, they're smaller ones, and they have different needs. But I do consult with churches if they need help. I do. I'm like, your little accountant in a box. I'm not there full time with you, but I'm there to help you make sure that your structure is correct.
And then with your experience as an IRS agent, notice how the pastors get audited. You can say, look, when I was there, I recognized this a while ago, I'm sure nothing has changed. This is what you need to look out for, because if your ducks are not in a row, I'm telling you, it's almost like you don't take your RMD. The red flag goes up and your required minimum distribution. IRS says you can take, that's easy for them to, they don't have to overturn any rocks. They say you take your RMD.
That's what we call low hanging fruit.
Yes. I would think too, like self-employed. Tell me this right quick, Sherry, just your experiences in the IRS. I'm self-employed. I don't pay myself a salary. I pay myself a dividend. Tell me the IRS doesn't see that a mile away. You see what I'm saying? So I don't have to pay.
You have a corporation. You have to pay yourself a salary, period. Period.
I cannot tell you how many people tell me they're just going to pay themselves a dividend so they don't pay FICA. I'm like, you think the IRS does not know this? I mean, for heaven's sake. All right, so you confirmed it right there for me that the IRS is low-hanging fruit right there too, for sure.
Right.
Yeah, man. So what else are you doing? So we got a huge experience in terms of you work for the IRS, you're a CPA, you're helping churches, you write books, you got stuff in Costa Rica. Are you married?
I am not at the time.
Okay, gotcha. But you have 2 kids?
I do. My son's 30 and my daughter's 28.
Okay.
And I actually have a daughter that I call my daughter. One of the guys at our church started a program where he goes to Africa and gets the best and the brightest and gets colleges over here, the HBCUs, historically Black colleges and universities, to give them full scholarships. And all he needs is somebody to house them. So Chipo's been with me since August of 2017. She's a senior now.
From what country?
She's from Zambia.
So you have somebody through your church, you said?
Right, the program. So she's been with me, they're here during the summer, they're here during the Christmas breaks, but she's in her junior year, she started to get internships, and they're back in school now physically, but she missed her internship. She had a great internship. She's biochemical engineering or something to that, and she has all A's, all of them do. They have a mission different from our children. They come from an area where they have a goal. They have that tiger's eye. They want it. And these kids, they rarely make B's, and they get a lot of awards, but she's in school. She'll be graduating in May, and prayerfully will have a graduation. So I call her my daughter too. She's 25.
They get a lot of rewards or awards, even though they're just participation awards. I shudder for the future when we're just given, hey, thanks for showing up, and here's you go to Harvard. If you get into Harvard, you don't have to show up. You get an A. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you got a degree from Harvard. Like, who cares? I mean, literally. So,
yeah.
And they think they're helping. They think they're helping, and they're not. They're actually. I still think it's evil. I'm not gonna lie. I still think Soros and his clan of evil people are behind all this. That's conspiratorial. I don't care. That's my thought process. You can't tell me that there's not some cabal of people that look at Americans and say we can control them. And you see, so that these people, if they go from Africa, Marie says she's going to check your books. I was going to say, folks, I love Sherry. She's a breath of air, a breath of fresh air. This is what happens when you have 4 kids. Well, actually, my oldest at Georgia Tech. When you have 3 kids at home, you're like, but man, just buy her books. If nothing, I mean, there are good. This, as much as I hate YouTube for some reason because they do ban people, I still love it. The fact you and I are sitting here today is because of YouTube, and they have some bad tendencies, but they're probably a force for good in the overall scheme of things. And if you can use it correctly, and I cannot appreciate YouTube enough. But long story short, support Sherry. She's one of the good guys out there. She's telling the truth. She has an experience that she loved Jesus, you know what I'm saying? And just, she's kicking butt and taking names. So people don't have to fall back and it's, woe is me, I can't do it. The cops are mean, or my professor's mean, or whatever. So going back, so this girl is coming from Zambia. Is that what you said, Zambia?
Yes.
And she's coming here, kicking butt and taking names. Yes. Do they speak English down? Is that an English?
Yes, they actually have English accents, like British accents.
Yeah, right. But she's got to be sitting here and sitting there thinking, what the hell, pardon my French is wrong with these people? They have gotten everything, and they just are sitting there not. She's got to be just disgusted. I can't lie to you. Like, what, you know what I'm saying?
We have these conversations. Now, there's a woman out there on YouTube. Her name is Dr. Joyce DeGruy, DeGruy. She has a video called Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome.
DeGruy, D-E.
Right. Capital DeGruy. Joy.
Oh, Joy. Gotcha. Okay.
Right. And the name of the video is called Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of them out there, short ones, but the one that's impactful, she has on black pants and a black shirt, and it's about an hour long. And she basically goes back into history. She has a degree in this. She's doctor. And she goes back into history and shows how this mentality with black people came about. And I had all the African students watch that so they could understand what the black people in America had to go through that was different than them.
Right.
They have an identity. They have tribes. They have that identity. We have nothing like that. And so now that helped them, because we have these conversations. She talks about the black men here, how they act, the young ladies, how they act, how they have no belonging value. They put their marriage market value way behind their sexual market value. And it's just a mess. So I try to help them understand where this came from. But the solution is to look in the mirror, figure out who you are, what you want to do, and your purpose. And a lot of people that have excuses aren't going to do that. Yeah. So down here in the South, we make up words. And so there's ignorant. When you're ignorant, you don't know.
Right.
But when you're ignorant, you don't want to know. And we don't have time to be dealing with ignorant people. We have to move on, especially me. I'm getting ready to be 58 next month. And I don't have time for that. I have to move on with the people who want to ride this bullet train.
That's biblical. You know, when Jesus says you go into the town, you dust off your shoes and move on if they don't want to hear the word. You know, it's literally that simple. It's like, just sad. It just still kills you because you're like all the opportunity. I'm gonna write your website down. It's what'd you say again? Was
WakeThePeople.com.
WakeThePeople.com. WakeThePeople.com. So that's Sherry's website, and you're on Patreon too. You say, Sherry. Is it? I don't know how Patreon works. Is it just Sherry Peel Jackson on Patreon or?
Yeah, I just got off Patreon. I think I'm gonna do the YouTube way of thinking. But I did.
You have a channel right now. Is it Sherry Peel Jackson YouTube channel?
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Yes.
My man Dan says, "What do you think about Candace Owens and Blexit by chance? Any thoughts on those folks?"
I watched her. I think she needs to mature a little bit.
I agree.
Yeah, I really do. You know, I'm past all of that. And you know, there's two sides to each story. You need balance. You need balance. And a lot of things that she's saying is right, but then there's stories behind the story also. I am not a Democrat. Yeah. I am not a Republican. I am one that knows that both of those are sleeping in the same bed and they're raping us all. And I'm watching to follow what we as Christians need to do to build up this country. And it doesn't have anything to do. Think about this. What have either one of those parties done for us in the past 60 years? Yeah. What has changed? What has gone up as opposed to down in the past 60 years, no matter what color you are? Nothing has changed. So this is a kabuki dance as far as I'm concerned. They get everybody thinking that there's a difference between these people. And I've actually seen pictures of them, Josh, backslapping at parties and stuff. They're hanging out together off the camera. So it's just
false dichotomy that my side is good and your side is bad. And I mean, Sherry, I fell for it so hard when Bush, I said, Bush has got to win. And then after Obama, I said, you know, basically Bush and Obama were pretty much the same guy. You know what I'm saying? I like Trump because he's going in there. He changed the Republican Party. But the minute, if he loses, they're going to go back right back to the way they were. Frankly, I don't think
nothing's changing, especially in the Black community. One of the two things that I noticed that President Trump, for everybody, gave the business owners an extra 20% decrease. Yeah. And it was at the right time because I had a boom year that year, and I needed that extra 20% deduction in the taxes. And also he's going around to countries that we've been giving money to for years, which constitutionally we're not supposed to give money to other countries, and saying, hey, you know, we've been giving you this money. Why are we giving you? What are you doing for us? So that money, you know, we stopped giving those things. And there's some things, but for the most part, the destruction of America is in the minds of the people. And I'm going to name names. Bill Gates, George Soros, and the like. Yep. And
Bill Gates, he said he literally said the population is going to be 9 billion by the end of the century, but we can reduce that by 15 to 30.
With vaccine.
I'm sitting there thinking that's evil, man. That's evil.
Who's going to take a Bill Gates vaccine? I tell you, I'm not taking a vaccine. I'm not. You know what? It's amazing how this pandemic has shown me how many people are so fearful of the government and so trusting of the government.
At the same time. Is it because we've lost our way with God? I think it's like we have this new religion now, which is comfort. Essentially, we've got to be comfortable. I'll be soft. I'll be squishy. I will just put my hands in my ears and pretend no. As long as nothing harms me, and yet I'm sitting there thinking that's what scares me. But it makes me positive way, Sherry, because at the end of the day, a lot of the kind of going back to what you said, that you can't be ignorant, and then we don't have that. We have a lot of fake Christians are obviously they're losing their faith because they never were part.
Right.
And it's and we're gonna have a stronger religion, just fewer of us. But I just sit there and I'm thinking, how do these people? I don't understand. I just don't get it. It's like as long as I have comfort, I will do whatever they say. And it's oh my goodness.
Right. And the founding father said a lot about that. So you can grovel at the feet of the government if you want to. I'm just not going to be there with you. Yes. So if you want to go with me, if you want to learn how to be financially free, then you've got to get off of your backside and start working on that yesterday.
We got someone says you're an inspiration, Cherry. Young Timer says he knows a church or two that could benefit. So Young Timer and I don't agree at all on politics, but he's a good guy or a lady. So anyway, just buy her book on that. And again, it's at yes, Dan Sherry's website is and Mary calls you amazing lady, Sherry. We are talking about the wakethepeople.com. Roberto, I think Roberto, he's in the Bronx, Sherry, and his business was freaking set. He's lost everything essentially because of the pandemic, and de Blasio is just a nutcase.
Yes.
It's the spirit of fear is pervasive, and I think that's the thing about liberating about Jesus. Once you follow Jesus, you're like, yeah, whatever. I mean, I like Trump. I'm not going to lie to you. I do worry that Biden, if he gets in, but at the end of the day, the inevitable is inevitable. All empires crash and will crash, and it's just the way it's going to be. But it's sad because we have so much freedom here, and we take it for granted. Do you think there's any hope that we can, get almost like in the 1800s they had the a reinvigoration of faith. I'm drawing a blank, not Jubilee, but something like that.
Renaissance.
Yeah, I think that and I don't want to be Mr. Pessimistic. I have 4 kids. I can't be pessimistic with 4 kids. But any thoughts on that kind of reemergence of a faithful community?
We have to renew our minds. We have to go away from what we're doing right now and do that 180. We have to do a 180. And if people aren't willing to do a 180, then it's not going to work. So at some point, unfortunately, it might have to take something really, really tragic for people to wake up and understand that, they can't depend on someone else. They can't depend on the government, the stimulus checks, and they can't depend on the banksters, and they can't depend on the corporations. They can't. And when they realize that, then, there's going to be some fear, but then some people are going to pick up and say, okay, now it's time for me to do something. So one of my mottos on my show, The Financial Fortress, is life begins at the end of your comfort zone. And that's what has to happen.
Starling asked me how much of an exodus from the U.S. do you see in terms, like you already talked about the wealthy are leaving. Are they going to Costa Rica? Are they going to Luxembourg? I can't imagine they're going to Europe. Where are they going?
They're going different places based on their background. So there's some countries that let you get into there if you can prove that you have a lineage there. So if your great-great-grandmother was from Scotland, then you can go there and get citizenship. It's different with everybody. So people have different reasons for going different places. I don't want to go transatlantic for several reasons because my family's here and Costa Rica is like 3.5 hours away. So but we are having a mass exodus of people, first of all, that have the money. They can buy what you call economic citizenships.
Yes.
So like if you go to St. Kitts Nevis, you can pay I think it may be $300,000, and a lot of them, because of COVID, they've reduced the amount of money that you have to pay for your economic citizenship because they're strapped for money. But if you go over to Europe, some of the countries require like 1.4 million. If you
you can literally pay for citizenship. I mean, that's how it works.
Economic citizenship. Yeah, so a lot of people are paying for economic citizenship in a place like St. Kitts Nevis. You can get that economic citizenship, but then you also, when you get your citizenship and your passport, you have a gateway into Europe through what is it called? The alliance that they have.
The European Union.
European Union, exactly.
Did you do the video, Sherry, where you took pictures of the Goodwill stuff you had given? Was that you? Yes, that's what it was. It was awesome. You laid it out. You said you took the pictures, you put it on your phone, and I can't remember. I was like, it was so, folks. Oh, we talk a lot of tax planning here. Jessica, I was like, that's Sherry. I remember that video. It was awesome. I said so because I give a lot of stuff to Goodwill, and I didn't do it. I'd never take the deduction. I'm just kind of lazy. But you said, look, this is legitimate deductions here. You take the thing, you go on. So I forget. Anyway, please follow Sherry's stuff on YouTube. That was an amazing video to me. I've drawn a blank what it's called and how it wasn't that long ago. But I remember she took.
You know what? The standard deduction also went up. So a married couple automatically gets $24,000, and a single person now automatically gets $12,000. So if you can cross over that threshold, it works to take the stuff. Back then, the threshold was much lower, so you could take a whole bunch of stuff. But you can still take stuff, but you may not get credit for it if your standard deduction doesn't reach the 24,000
Right.
threshold as a married couple, or 12,000 as a single. However, there are people out there that will be able to take advantage of it, and when you give them your stuff, then they'll take advantage of it. For example, I'm single, my threshold is $12,000, but I have a mortgage, real estate taxes, and all that. And with tithes and offering, I reached the $12,000 threshold. So when I get stuff from other people, it takes me way over and above the 12,000. They can't utilize it, but someone else can.
Absolutely. And on top of that, it's legit because you literally are saying, and you have proof of receipts because you went on that website that you said this has a fair market value, whatever it was.
Right.
$15.
Salvation Army Thrift Store Guide.
Yeah, that was genius. I said, oh man. Secondly, I was reading a blog. Check this out, Sherry. Going back to home-based business. Mm-hmm. This guy, it turns out he's a big clown, but still, it was capitalistic. And I'm sitting there thinking, dude, you're a capitalist by nature. I don't know why you're flowing in with Antifa. And but some lady on Facebook Marketplace was giving away some cabinet that she didn't want anymore. This guy drove there, picked it up, put it in his car. Turns out she supported the police. So this guy was like, I hate you, you Nazi, but it's just weird. But anyway, it's stupid. But I was like, okay, but at the end of the day, he turned around, he just kind of polished it up a little bit, and he put it up on Facebook Marketplace, and he sold it for $40. I said, that's capitalism right there. This lady has something she didn't want. She wants someone to take it. You took it, you just cleaned it up, you sold it for $40, probably took it 2 hours time. That's $20 an hour. Home-based business, all done on the internet. You don't have to be an idiot and tell that she's a Nazi for liking the police because her son's a cop. But excluding that, again, home-based business right there. He's $40 for the richer, other than a little bit of gas. It's crazy.
Right. So people need to just start thinking for themselves and be strategic thinkers and think of ways to make money like that. It's that the money is out there to be made. People can make products. There are people out there that are on the corner selling masks that they've made. Somebody's a seamstress and decorative with the letters on it. There's ways to make money and stop complaining and stop watching television. And that's the key right there. There are too many people out there with too many talents to not have a thriving economy within your home, the home-based business. I feel for the restaurant owners. From what I understand, 46% of the restaurants are going to reopen. That's really tragic. And this whole thing is so distressing to me because it didn't have to happen. But
there's my dog, by the way, in case he's made an appearance. Say hi to Miss Sherry. His name's Pablo. He's a little nut. But anyway, go ahead. You were saying about the rest. Yeah, it did not have to happen. Exactly.
It's all by design. Because why would you shut down all the restaurants, but people can go in Walmart, Home Depot all day, every day?
Great.
Why is it people can't gather over 50? Yet Antifa and Black Lives Matter get out there every day and riot and throw.
Remember John Lewis's ceremony? John Lewis, from here, John Lewis died, and they all went to his funeral and all that. And then, did you see the one in England where the lady was crying and the son went to go give her a hug, and the funeral director said, "No, you can't do that. You got to social distance." I'm like, this is not humane. This is evil stuff. All right, sure. I think he's actually this is awesome. I tell you, you are awesome. I love having you on here. Let me just hold on. Let me see if I can get him on my lap for just a second because he's growling at me now. Who controls? Is he my best friend or am I?
Well, who runs the house?
Exactly. A 13-pound Chiweenie runs that. Oh, there he goes. What was I gonna say? Oh, and then I was gonna say about the. Sign up to Sherry's YouTube channel, folks, because she does go on YouTube. You're there too, but if you do a regular stuff, and then we definitely want to get the word out there for sure because it's great. Anyone who's teaching independence, entrepreneurship, and taxes as well, not because everyone's out there saying make $1 million from home, but no one's out there with the knowledge that Sherry has on the tax code and basic frontline stuff that we all can do. And that's what I was going to say is like. We have a big mortgage interest here too, and we have property tax, so we are above the standard deduction. And so I was like sitting there thinking, if I can, write off, I don't know, $3,000 of charitable gifts, that's $3,000. I don't have to pay a 24% tax. You see what I'm saying? I mean, it's just that's literally money.
Right.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. I don't know if you've seen the NBA, but the NBA ratings are horrible. They're down like 70%, and I'm sitting there thinking. that is a win, maybe not just because the NBA has gone so woke, but because so many people are probably not going to waste their time watching stupid basketball and football. They might turn their focus on something productive.
Yes.
And I started thinking, giving back what you said, don't watch all that crap. I started thinking maybe that's God's way of working His magic in ways we can't necessarily see. You know what I'm saying? It's interesting.
Yes, there are some silver linings to the pandemic. One of them is families are getting back together, spending time together. Some people have had to move in with each other. We used to, when we were a family, if at least grandma might have been down the street within walking distance. And so people are having to get back together and spend time together as opposed to having social media take over.
Well, my man Roberto can't leave the Bronx. I think it was him because he has, 3 families like it used to be. The old days, grandma, mom, and kids. 3 families in there, and because don't turn off YouTube though, Dan. Dan says he likes it. Turn the TV off, but not YouTube. But it's like that's the way it used to be, and we had that family structure we all supported. We didn't need the government.
Right.
I'll let you go.
The neighbors. My grandfather told me that when people down the street lost their job, they would have food on the front porch. It's just the families would help each other. Now everybody's dependent on the welfare system, and it's not working out at all. It's sad, but we need to get back to the old landmark.
Well, it's funny. I know you're, but I'm from Maine, an island off the coast of Maine, and I remember when my dad left. Somehow on Christmas, I said, there's not going to be Christmas presents. And somehow on Christmas, we had all these presents under the tree. I was like, how did that happen? And when I got older, it turned out the neighbors got together and donated and wrapped the presents for my mom. I was like, I did not know that growing up. I was like, how did my mom afford all that? But that's the way the community we need to get back to.
Yes, we do.
Sherry, so we talked about how people can get in contact with you. You do consultation. Do you do a personal tax consultation at all for folks, or is that not in your cup of, right now your ball?
Yeah, I do tax consultation. I help people that have tax problems. I don't do tax returns, and I don't represent people in front of the IRS. I kind of stay behind the scenes. Yeah, right. I meant to say that I have a different website for the church information, and that's Church Wealth Ministry Health.
churchwealthministryhealth.com.
Yes, churchwealthministryhealth.com.
Okay, cool. I put that on. I put that on the notes there. And so you're again churchwealthministryhealth.com. That's where people can find out about your consultation services for the churches and stuff.
Churches and ministries.
And ministry. Now, so it could be like a ministry of, I'm trying to think not just a church where it's a steeple and all that, but actual ministry, I don't know.
You have traveling evangelists, you have people that
exactly. Right
those kind of
like RZIM, Ravi Zacharias, that kind of ministry stuff. They don't really, what I'm saying? That okay, cool.
Probably the bigger ones already have what they need, but the smaller ones.
But there's a lot of guys and ladies that are starting and they need help, and frankly, they're probably ones in the crosshairs because they can't, they don't have the big wig. Accountants that are making sure all their ducks in a row, and they're probably ones that need the help the most. Who, they raise some money, but not to that RZIM threshold yet, or North Point Church up here.
And they can afford a full-time person, but they can afford a consultant. So.
Exactly, 100%. The independent contractor. All right, so again, we got Church Wealth Ministry Health.com, and we got WakeThePeople.com. Sherry's got the YouTube channel, and on Amazon, Sherry Peel Jackson on Amazon. Get her books. And Sherry, it's been great. Blessings to you, man. Just keep fighting the good fight. And at the end of the day, we know, God conquers all. And this is still frustrating, but what are you going to do? You just got to fight the good fight. But man, I cannot tell you how happy I am you're on here.
Yeah, and that you're out there. Thanks, Josh, for having me on. It's been fun.
Yep. I'll put links to all this in the show notes too, Sherry, and I'll email you later when we're done.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thanks again. Thanks, guys. Thanks for being here, everybody. I'm going to take him out for a poopy break. See you.